Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brenda Wade, your modern love and relationship doctor. And I am so thrilled and honored to have with me tonight one of my most beloved friends, teachers, someone who inspires me, who uplifts me, and who is always, if I had to choose a word for her, it's honest. She's always 100% honest. And of course, I'm speaking about Natalie Zeituny, author of two books. Some of you already know of her first book, which is called Ensoulment, Ensoulment, Ensoulment. Think about that word for a moment. What could it possibly mean? And here's the subtitle: Discover your soul's DNA and experience the soul of the world. Take that in. And Ensoulment 2 has also been published. It's called The Future of World Reality, Ensoulment 2. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Natalie Zeituny. Natalie, it's such a pleasure to have you here with us, and thank you for taking the time to be our special guest this evening. And I want to make sure I've got you on spotlight so that everyone can see your gorgeous self. Stand by, we're on speaker view, so you should be absolutely in everybody's view. All right. So now, guys, if for any reason I didn't get that right, you can still see Natalie. Here we go. So Natalie, when you wrote Ensoulment, what led you on a journey to create a book called Ensoulment? And what does that mean, ensoulment? Two questions.
Ensoulment is the ongoing process of discovering, embodying, and expressing your soul.
Now, what is the soul? You know, we've all heard soul mentioned in so many different ways. There's the soul, which means that you've got soul and you put your soul into what you do, or the soul is an entity that when you're not in the body, it goes somewhere else. What does soul mean to you?
Soul is the innermost essence of a thing, the innermost essence of a thing. Then we can ask, what is an essence? What is an essence that actually identifies, differentiates, and makes something what it is? And in Ensoulment, we talk about our personal soul, our relational soul, our family soul, our nation's soul, and our world and cosmic soul. So it's a very deep, intricate relationship that I go into in the second book of how each one of our souls is related and is contributing and is being affected by all the souls around us. But the soul, basically, there's a major difference between a soul and a personality. A personality is a construct, is a mental, emotional, sensory construct that is created. And it's usually created as a result of beliefs, experiences that we've had here. The soul is something that actually comes inside our body when we are conceived. The soul, after we depart this dimension, continues on to another dimension where it continues to evolve. So basically, the soul is the innermost essence of a thing. We have many levels of souls, and there's a relationship that we learn to create through ensoulment between our personality or our human day-to-day habitual mental, emotional responses and our innermost essence. Usually,
so the innermost essence would be the soul, and the personality is that part of us that's always, for lack of a better word, being projected out around us and not necessarily connected to the soul. Is that right?
The personality is a construct that is created as a result of how we needed to respond to life. And sometimes it's not connected to the soul. This is true. When people come to me for healing or for counseling, and I see a person who is depressed, a person who is suicidal, a person who finds no meaning in their life, a person who feels very sick, either emotionally or psychologically, these are all signs of the disconnect or the departure of the soul from the human personality. It's a departure. Now, what we want to bring the person to is, number one, and we'll talk about it, I'm hoping we will have time to identify who is your soul and how can you connect her with your human construct that we are living here, the human aspect, the mental, emotional, sensorium aspect. So the work is actually to reconnect the person to their innermost essence. And if you take a pianist, or if you take a Pacific Ocean surfer, or if you take a mathematician or a cook, an amazing cook, each one of them has a different soul. And that soul likes to express itself in the human form in a different way. So the work is to, if somebody is a dancer, to connect them, allow them to actually embody that dancer, express that dancer, and expand that dancer. As we do that, the dancer, which is the human construct, becomes the in service, in dedication to the soul expression. And this is where there's soul evolution.
So part of what you're saying, if I'm understanding, is that the soul is there. We all have a soul. And the soul needs an avenue, needs us to give it an avenue through which it can express.
Correct. Exactly. You got it.
And are we born, I'm just curious about this, are we born with the soul? Is a soul an inherent part of us as human beings?
Yes, the soul is an inherent part of us. And sometimes trauma, fear, negative experiences cause the soul to depart from the human body. Now, it departs, but not completely. Just when we are dying, the departure is complete. When we're sleeping, there is a departure, but there's also a thread that connects us still to this physical body. So you can actually, the same way you look at plants, if you look at the plants in your home, and there's some plants that are vibrant and alive, and they enjoy the weather, and they soak in the sun and the moisture, and they're really vibrant. They have a high grade of soul embodied in their form. And then you see plants that are really wilted. They're in the kitchen in the dark. They have no conditions for their soul to thrive. So they're very, very disembodied or unensouled. But still, there's a level of soul in them. But if you look at the different gradation of plants, and you can see it if you go to nature, you can see which plants are thriving, which are completely ensouled or high grade of ensoulment, or you can see plants that are really suffering. They're dry, they're
so that's
very
like
fragile.
us as people. Sometimes we are suffering. Now, how would you be able to identify what you just said, that you can see in a plant that the plant is suffering? What are the signs that a human being is suffering because the soul either isn't embodied fully or something else is happening?
Beautiful questions, Brenda. I love you. I love you, and I love your questions.
Well, I love you back. I love your answers. That's why we're having this conversation. I always learn so much when I get to talk with
I
you.
love your questions. Okay, so first of all, because I've been doing it since probably 2000, so at least 15 years, I've been really working only with souls of people, of animals, of plants, of places, of restaurants. You can feel the soul everywhere. You can feel the soul of the city. You know, I travel a lot. So I come from Tel Aviv, Greece, Berlin, London, San Francisco. Every city has a different soul, and you can feel it. Now, you can also feel where the soul is really present and where the soul is withdrawn. So to answer your question, when I see a person, you can feel based on, first of all, if you can read the person, if you can read how much light, how much joy and peace is emanating from them. If a person is worrying, is afraid, is concerned, is troubled, it degrades the ability of the soul to truly embody. If a
Hmm.
person is depressed, is not finding themselves, is having conflict or fear or threats or anything that feels unsettling to them, then the soul ability to embody decreases. So how do you know that? If I see a person that feel good, really feels good, that's a person that's probably in soul, unless they're high on something or they just had coffee or Coke or something else. If they're naturally, normally, their normal state is actually pretty happy, pretty joyful. Now, happy doesn't mean we jump up and down. It's just that this joie de vivre, this peaceful contentment and flow with life, you can feel the soul of the person. Now, sometimes the person can be very sedated. They can be like, okay, I'm not concerned, I'm not afraid, but I don't care about anything. I don't feel anything. This also means that the soul has left the body. So
Hmm.
basically,
So if somebody,
the
for
way,
example, is addicted to a substance, they
yeah,
may look as if, as you said, they're high, but the soul isn't there. So what do we do if we want to create more connection with our soul and give the soul, is it correct to say, more space to manifest and embody? How would we
yes,
go about having more of that expressed through us?
incredible. So you got it right, Brenda. In order for the soul to express, our soul needs avenues, ways, vessels to express itself. So, how we think, and we talked about the connection between our words not only outwardly, but also inwardly, like how are we speaking to ourselves? How much self love, empathy, care, and inner parenting do we have? How we speak to ourselves? This will increase the connection with soul.
Mm.
Other ways of actually embodying the soul is how we feel, how we think, how we behave, and how vital and healthy our body is. The more we provide conditions for the soul to express, the more embodied it becomes. And one of the things we could do is really self-care. Self-care in terms of healing our wounds. I'm still healing my wounds. There are wounds from my early childhood, from my growing up, from trauma that happened. So the more I'm healing myself and the trauma, the more I liberated aspects of my body, of my human body, to actually embody more soul. The
Mhm.
soul, it's very hard for the soul to enter, to penetrate, to seep into places that are contracted, that are fearful, that are not embodied because of trauma or because of
Mhm.
pain or fights with people. In these places, wherever you see conflict, I mean, I know for sure that, for example, in the Middle East, because of the regional conflict, Israel is not embodying her soul, and the Palestinians are not embodying their soul. Because any place there's conflict, the soul cannot reside. The soul is a very high vibration. It's almost source energy. It's essential energy. It's made of love and light. So there's no room for the soul to express. So what I'm talking about actually happens on a on a personal level, on uh, um, a community level, on a country level. So wherever there's conflict, even inner conflict, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be conflict, but this conflict has to move toward
So
resolution, has to
is
move
there a
toward.
way, because I've never thought about this before. Is there a way that if there are enough people in, for your example, Israel or Palestine, who are working to embody their souls, does that help heal the country? Does that bring more soul into the country?
Absolutely. Also in the US, when we start a movement of women rights, gay rights, Black Lives Matter, when we start these movements, these are movements of soul that has been suppressed so many years. What we think that the American nation will bring slaves from another country, use them, use and abuse the earth, and not have repercussion and aspect and impact on the soul of America? Of course it does. The question is, at
There's
some
actually
point
a
in the
book called The
development.
Soul of America.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And at some point in the growth and evolution of the American soul,
Mhm.
okay, a part of liberating the American soul, the Israeli soul, the any nation's soul, is to work on the trauma that has been caused and has been affecting and limiting and afflicting the country and the nation as a culture and the nation as the land. We also have been abusing the land. We've been abusing the oceans, the rivers. We've been damming the rivers, polluting the oceans, bombing the mountains so we can create roads through them. All this has repercussion because we're affecting the soul of the earth. Now, when I'm saying
Mm-mm.
all this, what I'm trying to say is it's okay. We're doing it because we're young in our development. So young means we haven't quite embodied the soul, the human soul, the earth soul, the American soul. We haven't quite embodied. And what happens when we don't embody? We do many mistakes. We make many mistakes. And part of the process is reconciliation, forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for what we've done to each other,
Mhm. Mhm.
forgiving ourselves for what we've done to ourselves and to the earth, and moving toward healing. And healing means that I see you, I love you, I care for you. You're a part of me, I'm a part of you. You're an
Mhm.
African American, you're a Jew, you're gay, you're Mexican, you're Chinese. I love you, I see you, I respect you just because of who you are. When we start doing this reconciliation work, there's much more soul that's able to dwell and enter and infiltrate the American nation, the Israeli
This is
nation, and
so
the world.
interesting because what you're saying is so akin to when we do healing work, and in the healing work, the esoteric arts, if you will, we're looking to open to more light. And I'm thinking now for the first time that light is the soul.
That's like exactly.
That
The
light
soul
is the
is made of
soul.
light.
Yeah.
The soul is made of light. So I go into details like 12 elements in the soul that are like the weaving essences that make up the soul. I go into it in installment 1 and installment 2. And exactly right. So part of what weaves the soul, what allows her to become, is the light. And
Mhm.
then there's love, and then there's consciousness, and then there's vibration. So I go into all these 12 essences that make up the soul.
Beautiful. So, Natalie, if someone, for example, is struggling, like the three areas people struggle the most with are love and relationships, and those are related like this. Also with, I would say, self-worth and self-love,
Mm.
because that affects the first one. And then with the ideas we have about prosperity in the world. Most people are worrying about money, afraid of money. Prosperity doesn't seem to flow. I threw three questions into one, but pick those up anywhere, any way that you want.
So tell me your question about these 3 areas.
I think the most important thing is the things that people struggle the most with. How do we awaken soul? And if awakening soul is awakening soul, a solution that would allow us to relax into that flow of light and energy so people aren't struggling as much in those areas.
Awakening soul is absolutely a significant part of well-being. Now, well-being emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, the soul is an inherent aspect of who you are. It's almost like you're asking a plant, you're asking a redwood tree to become an elephant. It's like, well, why are you an elephant? Why? What are you doing in Africa? You belong here. That's who you are. Well, I lost my way. I don't know. So what I'm trying to say, the work of ensoulment is to connect you with your inherent innermost essence. If
Mhm.
you're a redwood, or if you're African American, or if you are Mediterranean, or if you are any person, a man, a woman, a gay, any person, to awaken who you really are. Now, how do we do that? I
Mhm.
touched on it. It's a whole inquiry that I've been doing for years. But what I can tell you is the first process is to identify that I have a soul.
Yeah.
Okay, hello, soul. I am a soul. Hello, soul. Who are you? Now, asking who is my soul is a process of discovery. It's almost like discovering, like, when a pianist, when Mozart or Beethoven started playing when they were really young, it's a process of discovery. It's not like they were born to be these masters. There are very rare people who are born as masters, probably from past lives.
Yeah.
But most people cultivate this capacity. So you got to cultivate the ensoulment process.
Mhm.
Ensoulment process is a continuous reorientation toward higher states of soul. What
So
will
what is the
measure higher?
beginning? What is the beginning step for people? You said reorient toward higher states of soul. What would be
Yes,
the first step or the first thing we should be paying attention to get there?
perfect. The first step is I am a soul. I'm an embodied soul. This is who I am. Okay, who is my soul? To just start with an inquiry, with a question. Who is my soul? That's the first question. It's almost like you're going out on a date with your soul. Who are you, soul? What do you like? Some people are going to start crying. Some people are going to avoid it. I mean, I work with hundreds of people. So the discovery process of who is my soul is a process of intimacy, connection, listening. So number one is, who is my soul? Who are you? Once you got to start to establish this pathway of communication with your soul, it's literally like dating, like getting to know somebody before marrying them.
So
You're
you
getting
would
to know
ask,
them.
who is my soul? And is it possible to ask the question, soul, who are you? And the soul would reveal more of
Yes,
itself? Okay.
yes, it is
In your
absolutely
own
possible.
experience, what kinds of tools have you used that helped you to court your soul, to connect with your soul?
Okay, first of all, you know how you keep something close to your heart, like if something is really important for you, let's say your iPhone or your wallet is really important for you, you keep it close to you all day, or even at night, you keep it somewhere safe, right? So
Mhm.
when you have something that's so precious to you, you keep it close. So one thing I've seen that's really helpful is to keep that question, where are you, my soul? Talk to me. Who are you? Keep it close. Keep it
Mm.
close when you shower, keep it close when you're in nature, which is a very ensouled environment, by the way. That's the second and third thing I suggest, is to be around people who are ensouled, to be around environments that are ensouled, because when you're around ensouled spaces and ensouled people, or piece of music, or piece of dance, or amazing piece of poetry, you become
Um,
ensouled yourself, because
You
there's
know, that is
transference.
so
Okay.
interesting, Natalie. For years, I have used this quote, art is the window to the soul. It's from Rudolf Steiner. Art is
Yes.
the
Yeah.
window to the soul. And you just
Exactly.
confirmed it. The more we
It,
allow ourselves to express artistically or to even be in an artistic performance, this is why the arts are
yes.
so important.
Creativity is very important, but you see, I don't want people to start to becoming like this major Picasso or major Beethoven. The idea is to ask yourself, soul, who are you? Tell me more. What do you like to do? Where do you like to go? Who are the people you love? When was the last time you were really full out expressed? To start a discovery process. That's the first process. It can
Mhm,
take a year or
mhm.
two. It took me a while because my personality was very strong. So I thought I'm this really businesswoman par excellence, but really who I am is I'm a mystic. My soul is a
Mhm.
mystic. So
Yeah.
my personality would not let go of my IT, information system, Silicon Valley hat that provided so much personality and identity. So I had to gradually transition into being a mystic, being a consciousness researcher, being a writer and a speaker and a teacher and a healer. It took me a while, but this is my soul. My soul is a teacher. My soul is a healer. My soul loves beauty. She loves nature. She loves dance. She loves to hug and love and connect and
But a
touch.
lot of
So
these
this
things you're naming are things that you're also saying help us to awaken our soul and connect with the soul.
exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
So what if someone is actively, unconsciously doing things that would make it harder to connect with the soul? What would those things look like?
You know, the compass, the real good compass for the soul is how you feel. If you're feeling really low, really crappy, really stressed, really anxious, depressed, these are signs that something is off, that you're not on your journey to your soul.
Hmm.
So, on the other hand, when you're feeling at peace, when you're feeling in harmony with yourself, when you talk to yourself kindly, when you're enjoying your work, when you're enjoying the people you're with, when you're enjoying where you live, how you eat, what you eat, when you're enjoying your food, these are signs that you are in an ensoulment process. So
Hmm.
the compass is how you feel. Now, it's not so straightforward in terms of like, okay, I feel good, I'm ensouled, I feel bad, I'm disconnected. It's not as straightforward, but this is the great compass to tell you. And gradually follow what you really, what makes you happy.
Yes.
So
Can
how do
you
we know
give
what?
us, yeah, give us an example of maybe someone that you've worked with that came in and were stuck in terms of that connection and how they got unstuck? Because sometimes an example helps us to.
I do have an example. Actually, I have an example from a woman I worked here in San Francisco with. She worked with me for a while, and she calls me. We had a meeting on Zoom, and she said, Natalie, I have beautiful kids, I have a beautiful husband, a beautiful home. I'm so unhappy. I hate it. I wake up in the morning, I do laundry, I put the dishes in the dishwasher. I have this. I hate it. I hate it. I was like, okay, okay, okay. I hear you. I hear you. What do you want? I don't know. I don't know what I like. I don't know. I've been asking myself. I can't find it. Da 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 da. We go on and on. We do a little inquiry. At some point, she says, you know what? I love being with people. I love helping people. The other day, I went with my friend. She's a realtor. I stayed with her. I helped her talk with people and sell the house. I was so happy. I was like, okay. I started hearing very gently, she's giving me signs for what makes her happy. Now, she didn't say it so straightforward. She gave me signs. The soul is a storyteller. The soul is a musician. The soul is a cuddly. She likes to cuddle and love. And so the soul gave me signs for what this woman likes. I was like, okay. And I told her, tell me, have you, what's your relationship with real estate? Oh, real estate is amazing. It's booming in the Bay Area. You sell a house for this. Like, okay. Have you ever thought of doing like a real estate license for maybe just play with it? She has other degrees. She's like, what? Anyway, something just completely clicked. This happened 2 years ago. She went ahead and she became a very, very successful in a very large agency here. And she is so happy. She's traveling here all around. She's talking with people. She's helping people find their homes. And she's very happy. So that's a very simple example of somebody who felt lost and felt really not connected to a person.
So
Now,
the
why
key
is real
is,
estate?
yeah, the key is what you're saying is that each of us has a soul and we have to find a way to align with the soul. And sometimes the pathway, this is an interesting example that you gave, that the pathway could be in being aligned with the right work in the world. What
The
are other
right
ways we
work
can
is,
align? You mentioned doing art, you mentioned music, you mentioned courting the soul, you've mentioned now finding work that allows the soul to
yes,
be happy. Other
yes.
keys?
Now let me explain why finding the right work, Brenda. When you
Mhm.
became a relationship and love um, guide and healer and master, the reason this is so fitting for you is because it's an environment that gives you the most outlets for all the skills you have. You understand?
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me, I used to be a technology director. It was great for me. I'm very good at what I'm doing. But guess what? It's very limited. It's not using all of my skills. So becoming, on the other hand, a teacher, healer, guide,
Mhm.
mystic has much more venues for me to express my soul. This is why I feel more happy than working in corporate America, even though I loved working in corporations. So what I'm trying to say, you got to find the ensouled environment, the ensouled job, or work or vocation that will use an optimal aspects of who you truly are. When you use an optimal aspect, it can change. Like I was in my 30s an IT director, then in my 40s a consciousness explorer, and in my 50s a healer, a guide, a teacher, and a speaker. So it changes and it fine tunes itself.
Yes,
So it's not
yes.
like, okay, yes,
And one of the things you made me flash on is a chapter in my life of raising children. And I felt
yes,
so present, so connected to these tender young souls, and more love than I ever imagined was possible. So I
yes,
think there are things, I know people who feel that with their pets, with their cats, their dogs, their bunnies, their horses. They feel soul.
Yes,
I know that we
exactly.
can feel it if we're with children or with a beloved.
Yes,
There's an experience, and I'm feeling more and more as we're speaking that these experiences are not rare, that they're present, but we have to
yes,
open ourselves to them.
exactly, exactly, Brenda, exactly. And look, when you raise your kids and you feel, oh, wow, I am in the right place, doing the right thing, being exactly where I need to be. And right now, my life is devoted to raising these humans. When you are in that place, you're absolutely raising the kids is a part of your soul unfolding, is your
Yeah.
ensoulment. Okay. So this is wonderful. So to feel connected to yourself, to feel connected to your home, to your family, to what you love doing is a big part of ensoulment. When you're disconnected, like I said earlier, it may be an indicator that something about yourself and about how you're living can use a fine tuning or an update or an upgrade, because we're human beings, we're evolving all the time. So our ensoulment process is not like one stagnant list of things we should become and that's it. It's an evolving, fine-tuning reorientation toward the soul, our
Yes.
innermost essence.
So when you say and you didn't use this word, but I'm going to use it, when there seems to be a longing for, a needing for this connection, are there other ways that we can recognize, this is a call for more soul and more connection with my soul? What are the symptoms, the signs, and then what could a really powerful first step look like if we're not connecting? Because the soul is there. It's not like it doesn't exist. We just have
Correct.
to relate to it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So the symptoms is restlessness, anxiety, sadness, depression, uh, apathy, like you don't care about anything, whatever, everything is whatever. Um,
What about people who are
you
very angry and acting out anger?
Anger. So look, anger and sadness are very interesting. They're incredible gateway to very important information that the soul is trying to communicate to us. Anger comes from deep wounding, from pain and past hurt. And when we get in touch with that past hurt and embrace it and love it into existence, all of a sudden our soul is liberated and is entering these places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So getting in touch with it and doing inner work is very important. And
Yeah,
also processing, as you said, things, everybody has something, it's a pay me now, pay me later. I have some friends, I thought, wow, are they lucky? They have the best life anyone's ever had. And I guess there are people that just come in with good karma. They don't get any tests. And then all hell broke loose in their lives.
exactly.
I mean, just
Exactly.
terrible, terrible, terrible losses came out
You
of it.
know, I want to say in this healing and discovery process, when we develop the observer inside of us, the kind, loving, parental observer that we did not have ourselves, each one of us, because of the limitation of our parents. But when we develop an inner parent and an inner lover that really embraces who we are and say, hi, sweetheart, hi, Brenda, hi, Natalie, hi, Jim, hi, Gerald, hi, John, hi, sweetheart, tell me, how are you today? What would you like? What do you need? And this is comes back to the topic about your word, how you speak to yourself, how you tend to yourself, how you support and nurture yourself is a huge part of ensoulment. It's really
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important parts.
Wow. So, Natalie, you're so generous with your time, your insights, sharing with us about ensoulment. And it's so important to us right now because I think we're in a pivot around the globe now. There are things
Yes.
happening that we actually have to pay attention to. And this training is about how your word is law. How your word is law. And are you speaking health? Are you speaking happiness, joy, peace, wealth? And as we're learning to
Mm,
use that word, speaking those things,
mm.
from everything that you've just said, that's part of the process of more ensoulment, is it not?
It's absolutely a part of the process. If there's one word I want to leave you with, or I want to bring as kind of a summary point, of course, we're going to have more conversations, but one word is kindness. I know it sounds like kindness. What's that have to do with anything? Kindness, first and foremost, toward ourselves.
Yes.
Kindness to yourself. How are you, Brenda, sweetheart? What's going on? Why are you anxious? Why are you worried? Why are you restless? What's going, like kindness? Speak kindly to ourselves, speak kindly to others, and kindly do our ensoulment revelation, because we are all on the path. Some of us are a little bit on the right, on the left, some of us are behind, some of us are ahead, but all of us are on the way to awakening. And guess what? When we awaken our soul, when you do your soul work, and you have your soulful life, and I have my soulful work in life, we gradually awaken the soul of our nation and the soul of the world. And this is actually how we bring peace on earth. We don't do it through other ways. We do it through our own ensoulment process, and the ensoulment of everything we touch, the food, our community, our neighborhood, our family. When we ensoul all these elements, there is peace in the world.
Beautiful. Who was it that said, when there is peace in each heart, there's peace in the home. When there's peace in the home, there's peace in the neighborhood. When there's peace in the neighborhood, there's peace in the country. When there's peace in the country, there's peace in the world.
Exactly.
I'll have to look that quote up.
I think it's Lao Tse Ching. I think so.
I think so. I also had a flash that it was the Dalai Lama. So maybe we'll have to look it up and figure out who said this, because everything that you're sharing, Natalie, is so powerful. It's so vivid. And there's so much light and energy as you speak about it. The light is just pouring. Everybody look at her eyes. The light is just pouring out of your eyes, out of your face. And when I see that light in anyone, I always know that is a person who's awakened, who's conscious. And now I'm going to say not just awakened and conscious, I'm going to say ensouled.
Yes. Yes. And next time you enter a restaurant, feel the soul of the restaurant. Feel the soul of different grocery stores. Feel the soul of different people when you look in their eyes. Even strangers, it's okay to look in people's eyes. Feel their soul, bless them.
Yes.
And yeah. And then the blessings come back. We know that, right?
Exactly. What we put out, we bring about. What we put out comes back to us. And Natalie Zeituny, author of Ensoulment, the first book, which is so beautiful. The illustrations in the book are exquisite. Absolutely beautiful. That book is Discover Your Soul's DNA, Experience the Soul of the World. And Ensoulment 2, hot off the press, everybody, is The Future of Reality. And from everything you said, those books are going to help us create our reality. So we create a reality in which we are fully connected to our souls.
Oh, you've said it perfectly right. Wow. I couldn't have said it better. Creating the reality that allows our soul to flourish. Exactly.
Beautiful. Natalie Zeituny, everyone, you can send her an energy hug and energy, even though you won't see her in person when we have her with us on Saturday, but she'll feel this energy. I know she will. So blessings, Natalie. Thank you so much for your gifts, for your wisdom, for your love, for your ensoulment. It's a powerful, powerful thing to work with.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brenda. I love you.
I love you,
wonderful,
my dear.
wonderful.
Blessings.
Thank you for all the work and the light you're bringing to the world. Thank you.
Oh, it is my pleasure to be on the journey with you, sister. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.